Hey, this is Rod Santomassimo with the Massimo Show. And today we have a really cool guest because, yes, I know her personally, I do, but also because what she's doing today is so relevant to what you may be thinking about as well. Of, okay, I got a successful business. How do I expand it? How do I expand it? So with that said, I want to welcome my friend, one of our colleagues in kind of a weird way, but someone I've worked with in the past. That's Miss Leigh Mullins. Leigh, thank you, and welcome to the Massimo Show.
I am so excited to be here because I know you of your success of writing books and reading your books, and also I was able to work with you as a client. So I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah, and let me tell you, when Leigh worked with us, there are people that meet expectations and those that exceed expectations. I remember vividly we said, you did what? And she exceeded our expectations by so much. It was a celebration. But let's talk about Leigh first. We'll get into who you are and what you do in a little bit. Now, Leigh, is Mullins your maiden name or your married name?
Mullins is my married name.
Okay. So let's talk about Leigh Mullins in high school. Who were you? What kind of kid were you? What drove you? What do you love doing? Tell me about that.
So high school, which is great because when I tell people I'm from Wyoming, they're like, what? Nobody's from Wyoming. I've never met anyone from there. So I'm a good old girl from the West from Wyoming, where the biggest disappointment was when we couldn't go out on the playground because there was a moose out there. So I remember that kind of drama. And, in a small town of 2,000, sports are everything. So I played volleyball, I swam, I ran track for my high school, and sports were everything in my life. I will actually say, the competitiveness of sports segued me into being able to get a college scholarship and do sports at college, which is where I get 100% of my competitiveness, which is good and which is bad. And it was a great opportunity growing up in the West. I loved it. It was great.
Okay. So I will tell you, so far at the Massimo Show, we've had no guests, and I'm projecting in the future we won't have any guests that couldn't go out and play because the moose was out and about. That's awesome. So where did you go to college and what sports did you play?
So I went to a nice small school called Dickinson State University, and I played volleyball, basketball, and ran track.
Cheese and crackers.
And I chose to do that rather than go to a Division I school that just wanted me for basketball. So I felt it was important to go to a smaller school, and I wanted to do 3 sports. I didn't want to just do 1 sport. So it was the best decision I ever made. Our volleyball team was conference champs 12-0. I ended up playing on a conference championship basketball team. And in track, I went to nationals my senior year in the heptathlon. So,
it's fair to say you're athletic, I guess.
Yeah, it's true. And I'm still doing it today with tennis and my kids in sports. So I will say sports were everything. Where I am today, I would say.
That's absolutely awesome. So now we go to college. Now you're so focused in sports in college, you're getting competitiveness. Did you were thinking about what's next after college?
Well, one of the other things is I had to get an athletic scholarship because my parents didn't have money. So that was my next drive to make sure that I did well to be able to get scholarships. So I'm in college, I'm having a lot of success, and I'm like, I don't want this to end. So I ended up getting offered a graduate assistant in volleyball so I could go ahead and get my master's paid for, and went to Northern State in Aberdeen, South Dakota, and got my master's degree. And that segued me into becoming a Division I college volleyball coach.
Okay, so now, wow, big jump. Where were you a Division I volleyball coach?
So I was the head coach at Northwestern State, which is in Louisiana. Mm-hmm. And then my last head coaching job was here at Campbell University.
Okay, fantastic. So how many years were you a volleyball coach?
22 years.
Wow. And so coaching, obviously I run a coaching organization. You're a coach. The idea is to create success for your individuals and make them do the things they don't want to do to get the things they want to get. And that's a John Woodenism. So what would you say today, looking back at your 20 years, what was one of your key lessons, takeaways? You say, yeah, this taught me this. What would it have been?
I will tell you what I have learned the most in the last 20 years is I have watched kids change as athletes. From where they'd be like, get on the line, and they'd be like, okay, to where get on the line, and you'd have to explain why you're on the line. Kids have changed so much in the last 20 years, where so has sports, because the way you have to coach them. Now, there's no getting on kids and making them run for messing up, because emotionally you got to treat them differently now. And so that was my biggest thing with coaching is I like the old school coach, right? The hard coach that just, you did it, you didn't question it. There wasn't feelings involved or patting or coddling. So where I was finding like kids aren't as tough as they used to be.
That's a whole other episode. Because we can
talk about that later.
So I'm sure as we get into your business side of what you're doing, and your clients may have changed as well. There are clients that we know we have to share with them why we're doing certain things so they can appreciate and do the work to get those things achieved. So you transitioned though from being this Division I volleyball coach, ultra competitive. I know sports is still a major player in your life, yes. But tell me about the professional side. When did you first enter the professional arena and what did you do?
So one of the reasons I decided to leave college coaching is I have 2 girls. And I was missing all of their sports because I was doing my job as a college coach, and that's year round at Division I. I'm in Brazil recruiting. I was gone all the time. And I also did a smart thing when I was younger, and I invested in 7 real estate pieces of property for investment reasons. So then I thought, my husband had said at the time, we really need to focus on our investment with real estate. And I was ready to stop college coaching because I was traveling all the time and missing the kids, and made the decision to get my real estate license. And I'm like, I don't want to be a realtor. I don't want to do that. To learn more about the management side of the investment. So I ended up taking the real estate class, passing, went ahead and took the test, passed the national state exam. And I play a lot of competitive tennis in the Cary area. Well, when people heard I had my real estate license, they're like, will you do this? Will you do that? And it literally went into, I was so busy as a real estate agent and was having a lot of success. And the competitive side of me is like never to say no. So I was loving the challenge of selling houses, buying houses, getting them the best deal, taking care of my clients. And that's where the professional side came into real estate. And the success I had as an agent, I had a partner who was amazing, Paula Grossman, and we worked together for about 12 years. We decided to open our own real estate company called Joseph Bailey.
And how long has Joseph Bailey been around now?
2.5 years.
Okay, so you go from full-time, traveling the globe, you see yourself going to Brazil, recruiting kids to play Division I volleyball. Now, next thing you know, you get your real estate license because you also smartly were investing in properties all along the way. Next thing, I got to increase the value of my knowledge, so I get my real estate license. And because you're a competitive tennis player in the Cary, North Carolina, and for those throughout the country or throughout North America or global, listen to this, Cary, North Carolina, I happen to live in that same neighborhood as Leigh does. It's a very affluent, let's say, from a demographic standpoint, being all fed by the Research Triangle Park, just neighborhoods and communities. It is. So when the opportunity came for some of your competitors and partners in tennis to think about selling their homes or buying homes, it was naturally they asked you for some assistance.
They're just like, you're so aggressive on the court. I can't imagine you representing us. This is great. And so that's, being how I was as an athlete, it helped me be successful in the business world.
So there you go. There's this natural behaviors, and we dive deep into natural behaviors at the Massimo Group. These natural behaviors of being assertiveness, which you are, driven, goal-oriented, which you are, translated very well to the business world where you started having success in commercial real estate. And look, I could tell folks out there why I picked Leigh for this. It's not only about her residential real estate expertise and her brokers. That's not it. It's because what she's done with this expertise. If I could share with you from a residential standpoint, we engaged Leigh to sell our house. And I remember telling Leigh, if I can just get X for this house, I'll do backflips. And she said, give me at least 2 days, Rod, to get it on the market, very hot market. And you just please be patient. Every time Leigh would call me that morning, we were at breakfast, I know so well, because it was during an open house. Robbie got this bid. I say, take it. She'd say, no. Call me again. Robbie got this bid. I say, I'll take that. She'd say, no. And so at the very end, the final price, we got all cash from a buyer. It's incredible. I'm not share the price. It's just like, oh my gosh. Yes, sell the house, please. And I'll take it. So Leigh's right. That approach she took translated so well to having to serve her clients to get the price they want to get. So let's get now to the Joseph Bailey. Why Joseph Bailey? Why that name? And why do you decide, you know what, I've been working for another broker for a long time. It's time for me to go on my own. A lot of folks work for employers for a while and decide, you know what, I could do this instead or that instead. I'm going to go off my own. Was that a tough choice for you? And what were some of the factors to make that decision?
One of the decisions that Paula and I made to go and open our own real estate company was the training, right? My background's education. And so I love training and teaching. And I felt like I wanted to open up a real estate company that really trained your agents at a different view, right? To get into our real estate company, you have to interview to get in with us. Like, we just don't take whoever. Like, we want a certain kind of person that we can take and mold into being really successful. So we wanted to open up our own company to really train agents the right way one-on-one. And that's hard to do nowadays because we worked for a lot of the big firms and it was hard to get that personal touch and personal training and doing things the right way. I messed a lot of stuff up in the beginning because I didn't have very much leadership because there were so many people in the big firms. So to open our small firm, it was about, we felt like if we could train people the right way and really give them a lot of individual attention, then we'll grow as a company. And we definitely, Joseph Bailey definitely has grown. You know, we have a lot of agents working for us. They're so successful and we're loving it.
Okay, let's hold off on the Joseph Bailey for 1 minute. We're going to take a quick break from the Massimo Show. And when we come back, Leigh's going to share with us why she went off on her own, how she crafted a company named Joseph Bailey, and more importantly, what opportunities she saw in the market that no one else had seen, and the new pursuits, the new company, the new adventure she's going on that really is, I find, so exciting and is also applicable to you. So come on back shortly to our conversation with Leigh Mullins. Hi, this is Rod Santomassimo, president and founder of the Massimo Group. And did you know that for over the past 11 plus years, we've worked with thousands of independent contractors, solopreneurs, and small business owners just like you in repositioning their and/or their team's efforts so they can build the personal, professional practice they've always dreamed of. We provide coaching programs for all levels of experience, earnings, and yes, success. So if you're finally ready to get off that transaction treadmill and chasing deals that are growing nowhere and start building the personal, professional business and life consisting of greater wealth and more time, well, check us out at Massimo.coach. That's Massimo.coach. Hey, this is Rod Santomassimo with the Massimo Show, and we're back with Leigh Mullins. If you haven't figured out how to spell energy yet, well, just spell Leigh Mullins, and that will translate to energy and passion and desire and everything that goes with it. So, Leigh, thanks for your time today. We were talking about you and your business and your development and your time with the moose in the backyard. But besides that, now we're talking about this new firm you started on your own. You decided to make it more focused on quality folks to work with you, not for you, but with you as independent contractors, and also to provide a level of training. But then the curious part is you had to brand the company. So where does the name Joseph Bailey come from?
So I love telling this story. 30% of more real estate is done with a male's name. And so Paula is Paula Grossman and I'm Leigh Mullins. And we never wanted to name a company after ourselves. We wanted to do the right thing in the South, a name that would catch people's attention. And we named it Joseph Bailey Concierge Real Estate Service. So that's another thing. The concierge part of it is where people have just grabbed and thought that was really neat. So what we did is Paula and I came up with like 5 names, and then we hired a company to do our branding in California, and they came up with about 10 names and sent it out like through a survey monkey and asked which was a good Southern name, which will grab people. We'll go with the concierge service. So when the company got back to us and they said the best name for your company, believe it or not, is Joseph Bailey. Paula and I looked at each other, and that's when we made the decision we definitely have to open this company. Because Joseph is actually her second child, who's a male, and then Bailey is my second child, who's a girl. So when they came back and said Joseph Bailey's the perfect high-end concierge real estate name, we were like, we have to do it. And there were like 15 names that everybody came up with. And we never told the marketing firm why this name, that name. They just ran it through surveys and which name hit the best. So it'll be cute. Someone will call here, want to talk to Joseph Bailey. And we're like, well, he's in high school and she's in 4th grade. So yeah, so that's why we came up with Joseph Bailey. And you know, the second child always gets messed over. So we want to do something for them.
There you go. Well, let's take a couple of lesson things really important there. Number one, you didn't want to name the company after yourselves. And there's reasons for that. Now, people think the Massimo Group, for example, is named after me. And in fact, it's not. It's right. Not. Just like you, we put names out to our consultants, what name would work, and then came back with Massimo because Massimo was a superlative. which means the maximum, the most, the best. And we said, yeah, that's what we want to be. So that's why we called it Massimo. Another thing is very important, the word concierge. Yes. When we were crafting our company, we wanted all our clients to be known as members, not clients. They're Massimo members.
Yes.
And another consultant told us, and you'll see Leigh and I, we invest in ourselves. We get coaches and consultants. They said, look, you go to a store, you're a customer and you have a clerk. And that's true. The clerk serves the customer. You go and you hire a consultant, right? And then that is a client. You have a client for the consultant to work with. But if you're a concierge, then you must be part of a membership, and therefore you're a member. So it's exclusive. It's highly perceived of being greater value. So there's a lot of lessons here that Leigh has put out there that I'm sharing with you as well that we've gotten from our consultants. Think about how you're branding yourself, yes, how you're referring to your clients, maybe your customers, depending on what you do, your members, potentially. Think about all that as well as you craft your own message. Okay, so we have this firm called Joseph Bailey, around for 2.5 years. So how's it gone? How's it gone being on your own?
It's been amazing. The best part is we've grown with so many agents now that are working for us, and they are having so much success. And it's so cool because the word's gotten out there to other agents and other firms. And we have a lot of people wanting to get into our firm, but we're capping it. We aren't about quantity, we're about quality. So it's been really successful. We're right here, in the Preston area on High House and Cary Parkway, our office, and we have our brick and mortar, and we love our office, and it's going really well.
And again, for the audience who doesn't understand what she just said, she's in a key intersection in the town of Cary in North Carolina, which is, again, it's known to be a thriving area. And she makes sure her location, her physical location, we're going to get to the digital side in a second, but her physical location is where she can be seen, known, and looked at as equivalent to her brand being a prestigious brand of Joseph Bailey. You just say that name. It's like I need to go buy a suit somewhere or something. It's Joseph Bailey.
Yeah, or have rings or jewelry.
Jewelry or a great after dinner drink. I don't know what it is, but it's so rich. The name is so rich. So I love it. I love it. Okay. So you're enjoying Joseph Bailey. Obviously, the market is going up and down. Let's talk about that for a second. How are you envisioning the market today? And again, every market, especially in residential real estate, yes, is so different in every little community. But how is the market today, and how are you adapting to market trends? And how have you learned over your now almost 15 years of doing professional residential real estate, how you figure out to adapt to certain market situations?
Well, definitely we're very lucky because the Raleigh-Durham area is growing like crazy. It's one of the hottest markets in the country. That leads into the next thing we'll talk about is the app we've launched. But the market's been great here. Now, the market everywhere always slows down a little bit when school starts and then picks up like crazy, February. But here in this area, from $200,000 to $900,000 to $1 million, those houses are still selling pretty well. It's doing
let's talk about the trends, though, Leigh. So, for example, in 2009 and 10, not everything was selling very well. How did you adapt your practice based on the velocity decrease that happened during those years versus what you're seeing now?
So one of the things we had to definitely change is how we went after getting leads and finding clients, because houses weren't selling as well or as fast. That's how we make our money. So we had to do something, which was go after different leads, buy leads. So we had to change our organization. It couldn't do the old referral or seeing people at restaurants and talking to them about it. We literally had to go outside our comfort zone to go get people we don't know to be able to work with as clients.
Oh, I love that. And again, that doesn't just apply to residential real estate, listeners. You have to understand when the market shifts, you need to shift. It's funny, I engaged in another consultant earlier this year as we setting forth our plan for 2020 and beyond. And he told me very specifically, that's something we'll talk about with Leigh in a minute, don't do things differently, do different things. Don't do things differently. Don't coach a different way or say, start doing different things. So for us, it was we created a new division of the company that just work with certain types of owners. And then we worked with a new division of the company we created for national behavior assessments. And then the big one comes in 2020 when we create a whole new division of the company doing different things. So it's those different things that Leigh's about to share with us that says, yep, there's someone who knows the market's changing, got to adapt, got to continue. But I can't tell you yet. We got to take a quick break. So when I come back, we're going to talk about Leigh's new app idea she had, how she's making it happen. why she's now traveling the country again, not to recruit for players, but instead recruit for investors, and also what this means to you. So give us a few minutes. We'll be back with the Massimo Show. Hi, this is Rod Santomassimo, and happy holidays. Look, we want to give you the gift of personal improvement. We want to put you in position that 2020 will be your best year yet. So, starting December 17th on our website, that's massimo-group.com, we're going to post for free our 7 days to your best CRE year yet workbook. All the exercises, all explanations there for you for free to download. So check it out, and let's make sure that in 2020, that's your best year yet. Welcome back to the Massimo Show with my special guest, Leigh Mullins, and we're about to dive into doing something different. When the market opportunities arise, you got to do something different. So let's get right to it. Leigh, welcome back to the Massimo Show.
Thank you.
Okay, so here we go. You've now been a residential broker for 15 years. You're seeing something that's changing in the market, and so you decide to say, hey, I have an idea. Well, maybe it wasn't you. I don't know. Don't give it all away quite yet. But what did you see happening in the market that gave you an idea that you have to do something different?
We were finding that when the market wasn't as strong, like around Christmas, December, whenever, we need to find clients. So we would buy leads, and we would buy leads from big places like Zillow and realtor.com. So we spent a lot of money on leads, and those were leads where they never turned into anything rarely. So what it was is you pay a bunch of money and sign a contract for 6 months, and whoever's on the computer and says, I might want to see this house, gets sent to like 5 agents in that zip code, and they're all calling this buyer, trying to get this buyer to meet them at a house, and hopefully you can sell them a house, and you have to sell yourself. So we were finding that buying leads was wasting a lot of our money as real estate agents. And, real estate agents are independent contractors, and some have to live and breathe off these leads. So that gave Paula came up with definitely the idea of our new company.
So what was the idea, first and foremost, and then let's talk about the new company.
So the idea was the fact that as an agent, I would have made millions of dollars if I could get in front of my clients, but I never had that chance because the leads we'd buy of people that didn't know us, it was so hard when they had like 10 people calling them to try to get them to go to one property. So sometimes you could get there, sometimes other agents got that call. It was just a feeding frenzy. And we were never very successful with getting those people to meet us at properties. So we came up with an idea to where we take out all the middleman, and literally now the buyer or the seller hits the app and they reach out to the agents in the area. And so the first agent to accept it meets them right at that property immediately, or they can schedule it. So the crazy thing, it's like Uber for real estate agents, but it's not, because a buyer or seller can schedule on their own time when they want to see a property.
Okay, so let's think about this. So talk about the app first, people understand what it is, just so you can understand taking a concept of your business. Business does not have to be real estate. It could be whatever it's going to be. It could be law. It could be insurance. It could be whatever it is. But how you can craft something that creates value to both your client, obviously, or your members,
right,
as well as gives you an opportunity to get more access and therefore more exposure and everything else. And of course, make some, let's face it, financial return as well. So Leigh, I'm searching for a new house. Hypothetically, I'm not though, because you sold me this house and I love it. So I'm searching for a new house, and I see a sign, and I'm just driving with my wife, and I say, no, I like to see the house. I got to call the agent on the sign. And so we could set up a scheduled time to get there, or she can eventually get there when he or she gets there. That's traditionally how it may work, right? Instead though, since I have recordings from the video also, I'm going to download this app. What's the app called?
So it's called Zuhaus, Zuhaus.
Zuhaus. Now, it's not available everywhere yet, but we're going to get there. But I download that app and I say, hey, here's a house, and I click whatever. You're going to tell me that. And then what happens next?
So in this market and other big markets, if you don't see a house right away, you lose it. So if you have a real estate agent that's out of country, or the listing agent can't get there, you're out of luck. And especially when it's busy season, you get multiple offers right away, and you have to be there in that property. So what this app does is, if you're sitting in front of a house, you hit it and it pings every agent's within 5 miles. And the first one that accepts You see their picture, you see their information, they see yours, and you see their car driving to meet you at that property. Or something else that you can do with this app is you can be sitting in Baltimore and you can be like, you know what, I'm going to be in Raleigh on Tuesday. I want to see this property, and you schedule it. And you schedule that property for when you want to see it. I want to see it 2:00 on Tuesday. And it pings the agents within 5 miles of that property. And one picks up and says, I'll meet you there. And you start communicating. So what this does for agents is agents now don't have to go through all the scratching and clawing for leads. Now buyers and sellers are reaching out to agents, and they're able to meet their client face to face immediately. Now, we've given that agent now that opportunity to sell themselves rather than phone calls and this and that. So they're able to get right in front of a client immediately and able to get clients into the house immediately.
And that's the key point. What's every decision based on, right? Time and money. Yeah, there's the financial, buying all the leads. They're not qualifying, a lot of wasted money. But there's also those wasting time. But Leigh, we were talking about some advantages of the app. Just not the app, but what we all struggle with. So it's very expensive to do something. So there's a savings of cost, right? There's also the savings of time, which this app, which you have all developed, and we're going to talk about how you do that, is promising to your community of agents. Is that correct?
Correct. So the thing with the app that's going to make it successful is it's cheaper for the agents to use, and they don't have to pay a monthly fee. They can do it for a month and be done. Like, they don't have to sign a contract, because we know what it's like, because it's hard as an independent contractor to have, money coming in a steady stream. So this is all about making this affordable for the agents and for them to have success. The great thing with this app is right now we're offering it to buyers and sellers. They can get $500 back at closing when they use a Zuhaus app to find an agent to look at property. So we've had a lot of success with that as well.
Okay, so there's incentives. But the exciting part is, certainly for our listeners, as well as, even if you're not, again, if you're not involved in residential or commercial real estate, it doesn't matter. This is a business idea. Leigh, I don't get, though, you have this core business of residential real estate that's cash flowing for you well, and why don't you just stick to that? I mean, it's going well for you. Why not stick to that? And are you going to depreciate the income stream by taking your focuses off of that? How is this all going to work out?
So it's amazing that Paula Grossman is my business partner, and she's 100% running our company, Joseph Bailey, and then I'm 100% working on Zuhaus. So that's the one thing as real estate agents, and you knew by working with us, there was a reason there were two of us. We never took vacations at the same time. Like, we always served our clients. So they will never be without one of us always being around to show them that property that comes on the market within minutes, because we feel that's so important to serve our clients more than anything. So right now, that's how we're making both of it work. But I'm still doing Joseph Bailey a little bit, but I am doing a lot with Zuhaus because I'm talking to investors, and, we have a patent on it. We have a copyright on it. So talking to someone who does not have a business background, this has been so much fun.
Well, my takeaway from this, folks, is that, look, as you venture into new ideas, number one, don't ever stop appreciating the cash cow you developed early on. In this case, for Leigh, it was her residential real estate company. For the Massimo Group, our core business always has been commercial real estate coaching. And now we're coaching so many more folks outside of commercial real estate. But we're not taking our eyeball off that as either, right? I have a very competent team running the commercial real estate coaching organization as we coach other folks in other industries. Right. So that's one lesson out of there. Also, Leigh, you just mentioned patents and investors, and it's kind of scary. I remember back in 2000, probably 2001, 2, I decided I wanted to create a sports watch because I couldn't track my workouts. I just couldn't.
Right.
So before I knew it, I found a friend of mine who was an engineer, and we developed a software. And then I found a patent attorney, and we developed a patent. So I became an inventor. I'm actually a patented inventor, which is kind of weird when I think about that. Again, I knew nothing about technology.
Right.
And then I found myself in the headquarters in Connecticut with Timex pitching our watch. Now, believe it or not, Timex said people will never track their activities on a watch, which, of course.
Oh, my God. I have 2 garments.
But now I just laugh. Okay, this is back in 2001.
Oh,
but,
wow.
but the lesson there was I knew nothing about these things. Leigh knows nothing about patents and investments at this time. Let's face it. I mean, we're talking about not how investing in a house. We're investing with private equity firms. It's a different ball field. But I did, and Leigh has, put yourself out there. And worst thing can happen, you learn a lesson, you find better, more talented folks to help you along the way. So Leigh, how have you now gone from residential agent, right, in Cary, North Carolina, to this owner of a technology that is traveling the country, requesting investment, while at the same time coordinating rollout in major markets? Tell about this whole experience and what kind of help you have. Which is the first person you reached out to? How did you make this happen?
Well, first it was talking my business partner into doing it. We are complete opposites. In fact, we took a personality test and we found out we're actually the best two people to be business partners in the world. Like, we're the perfect match. I'm always like, we're good, we'll figure it out. And she's always like, nope, I don't know if we should do that. So that is the first step that we did, is I talked her into doing it because it was her idea. It was so good. So the first thing we did was finding someone to develop the app, right? And that, I don't know. So we talked to a bunch of people. We had a lot of people helping us with that, found someone to develop the app, which has been amazing. Develop the app. And that's just the beginning, right? Because then we're doing the patent and I'm scared to death someone's going to steal the idea. And then someone wanted to actually take our name. So the Zuhaus name, which means at home in German, our marketing side of it, we've actually had a lot of success just with that. We have people coming to us who want just the name. And we're like, oh, we got to do a copy. Now we have to have another patent for that. So we're literally learning as we go, and it has been crazy. So we launched August 7th in Raleigh. We got lucky. This is a great market, our hometown. We're here in Raleigh. We launched first with the Apple. And then last week we came out with the Android. And I'm learning a lot there. Let me tell you, that's no easy process getting through the Apple store at all. That alone was like, so here we're up and going. We wanted to make sure we had everything running perfectly. Last week, we had our first major lending company, and I can't say their name to the contract sign, to advertise on our app, which is huge. So we had that happen, which has been great. And we're just in Raleigh. So we're looking
Hold on. Here's what happened. Hold on, Leigh. I can stop you there, because this is what happens to a lot of us, right? Yeah. It's called a subconscious competence, where things just naturally happen. You assume that's no big deal, but that's a huge, huge endeavor and added value to you as the developer of the app.
Right.
Now you have an audience. Think about, if you were to create something, what you can create differently, what synergies you currently have that would leverage your success. In this case, makes total sense. A lender would say, I want to advertise on your app. Makes total sense.
And it's crazy because we're a startup. Everyone's like, you're a startup. And I'm like, we're so far ahead of the game because we owe nobody money. I don't know if that makes sense to you as a startup. Usually that's not the case. Right. Startups are like 50 million in debt, and then you have to work from there. Paul, my kids are doing without, but we paid for everything ourselves, which is great. So now that we've talked to angel investors and people are wanting to invest and we're going from that end, I've really realized, being a startup, how lucky we are to be starting up from where we're starting up, if that makes sense. The fact that I went after and said, let's go after a big lender, a national lender, to advertise, because we don't want the app to be inundated. We want it to be, our whole app is about searching, because you can search for a house on our app like you can on any of the other major search engines. You can search as a buyer, you can schedule, and you can see just like that. So we didn't want to have a bunch of advertising and things like that, but we have to find money to grow. And right now, we haven't even advertised this app at all. It's just been Facebook, word of mouth, Instagram. So now we're getting money to just blow it out and advertise and do the marketing, which, can I tell you, I had no clue how expensive marketing is. Wow, that's crazy to me. And marketing's changed over the years. There's no newspaper. It's all digital.
Yep.
Most of it's digital. We're learning there's other things we need to supplement as well. But the fact we got a huge lending company that's going to start giving us some revenue, which is even looks better for the investors. And the fact our startup is in zero debt as of this point.
I want to go back to that because it was such a significant jump for the development. So it was your idea to say, you know what, we probably need a major lender to be on this app. And great that you qualified that, but I think we don't want to crowd it with a bunch of advertisers. Like at one specific, don't mention the name, obviously.
No.
But how do you go about getting in front of the lender and then getting them to say, yeah, we'll evaluate you? I mean, like, you're prospecting now for money and relationships. This is a prospecting issue again. So how do you do that?
I literally just made phone calls. I called and sent it out to about 4 or 5 lending companies. And pretty much I just kept, not the big decision maker, but someone who liked me, and I sold myself good enough in the app where they got me in front of the second person. So I kept working my way up the ladder to where I got in front of the main person and they're like, this is awesome. We'll do it. And I just didn't stop. And it comes back to the competitiveness. I believe in this app so much that I just felt I could sell it with so much heart. And if I could get in front of people, then that's where I have my success. And we have our first revenue coming. And I'm so excited.
Well, first of all, it's a reflection of you and Paula's great work and support. But I would ask my listeners, are you that passionate about what you're doing right now? If you're not, find that passion, obviously. But that alone, that energy all comes from the belief that you're going to make a difference to the marketplace, obviously.
Listen, I stress at night. I don't sleep. I'm scared to death someone's going to come up with this idea and make it bigger and better and sell it nationally faster. But we're just like, we don't have anything to lose if we don't try. And so we launched here. We're getting investors to give us money so we can go to the next launch town. And literally within 10 months, I'd love to be nationally and be just rolling in it because I love it. And the crazy thing is they always ask you this, what if someone wants to buy it for a lot of money? I'm like, I don't know. It's an addiction now to grow it and to be involved. So it's just crazy. I love it.
Okay. And certainly Raleigh-Durham has been the only market so far. And what I love about this is, besides just saying, let's get to every market right away, you're going to work out any kinks that are going to actually happen. We know this. Kinks are going to happen. You're going to work them out, figure it out, and then take it to the next market, learn more, take it to the next market. Is that the plan?
Absolutely. And it's since we launched August 7th, I've even changed things on the app since the launch because I'm learning and growing with the app.
Right.
And my developers hate that phone call, but they've been amazing with us, to change things here and there to make it, just so much easier for our users. But you release a product thinking it's great, and it's crazy how much you change it after you already thought it was great to make it better. Honestly, our goal is it's free to all the consumer. The real estate agents, we're giving it to them for a very cheaply monthly fee so that they can make more money and get face-to-face. So what we charge is so minimal for leads compared to the other revenue service for leads that they're paying for as well. Our ultimate goal was for real estate agents to make more money, because they spend so much money on finding leads as it is right now. So our ultimate goal, we'd love to be big and grow, but I'd like to see the real estate agents have more success and be able to service clients faster and easier. Clients hate to have phone calls. Everything's digital now. The XY generation loves apps. They love not having to talk to people. And this app, I want to see this house at this time. Boom, it's done. There's no waiting. It's on their time.
Okay. I love it. So what is the value proposition to, let's go, you have different audiences here, and I think it's very important you all understand and craft your own value propositions for your own services or your products. So what's the value proposition to the fellow residential agent? Why Zuhaus?
Well, it's a lead generation that is immediate. So it's going to get them face-to-face in front of a client. They don't have to worry about phone calls and running people down and talking them into something. These buyers already know property they want to see and when they want to see it. So a real estate agent, it's easy. Now the buyers and sellers are coming to them, which changes the whole game instead of them going straight directly to the consumer. Also, for the buyer and the seller, they get to have someone within minutes in front of them, helping them with the property, giving them a listing agreement. Hey, you're sitting there, let's sell our house. Hit the app, the first agent within 5 miles will be at your house in 10 minutes. They'll be like, this is what your house is worth and this is what you can do. Let's be honest. If you do something last minute, spontaneous, it's sometimes the best ideas. So with this app, you'll have to talk to someone once they get there, but you get to schedule it as a consumer when it's convenient for you.
Okay. So in its simplest form, as I hear you share me with the value prop, right? So at the Massimo Group, when people say, okay, really what's the crux of it? We always say, look, you can make a lot more money in a lot less time. That's just the fact that our clients always tell us. I'm consistently making more money and spending less time in the office. But for you, it is the fact that they get more leads in less time at a lower cost.
And in a face-to-face, which is worth $1 million to real estate agents.
There you go.
You actually get in front of that person.
Right.
And with Zuhaus, our plan A is residential. The next is rental property, because in all the metropolitan areas like New York, it's very hard to get into rental property. And then down the road, Zuhaus would like to do commercial.
There you go.
So that is our steps for growing the app.
Well, you and I will definitely be talking then.
Yeah.
Okay. I love it. So, Leigh, what would you say to the listeners out there, and not in the real estate business, but they have an idea, they're working hard. There's a couple things here. Number one, let's talk to and give a message to those that are working for somebody else. And what is the guidance, suggestion you would give them to make that leap in faith that they can work on their own? Give me some insight there.
I have all my life worked for other people. And it was scary, but it was the best adrenaline in the world. And it makes you work harder just because there's more on the line, which makes you enjoy it. So when people are like, oh, I like this check that comes in every month, you know what? That's great. But if you just believe in yourself and you don't stop, like I'm up at 4 a.m. writing down ideas, don't stop. And if you have that drive, you will be successful. I'm telling you, like,
I love it. I love it. I remember my late father always told me, you'll never be happier or wealthier until you start working for yourself. And so when I made that leap, I'm like you, Leigh, I'm up at 4 a.m. freaking out about this. I get it. But wow, what a rush it is. It's a major rush. Okay, so now they made the leap. They're working on their own. They're having some success, right? And they're thinking, I have another idea, but I don't want to leave the cash cow because this is working. What advice would you give to them?
Well, go off and try to do what you think you might work. Like, even if you're working for someone right now and you have other ideas, like talk to people about it. Like the biggest thing I was scared to death was like, don't say nothing about our app because no one's signed an NDA. They're like, don't breathe it. So I'd be like, I would be like, we have this great idea. But you know what? It got to the point where I'm like, you know what? If it happens, it happens. I'm going to just tell everyone about it. I'm not making people sign NDAs. And I remember our CFO was like, what are you doing? I'm like, listen, I believe in it and I'm going to let it go. So if you're working for someone else and you're thinking about maybe doing something on your own, go talk to people about it. Get advice. We've gotten so much amazing advice from people. That's why we're at where we are today. And I'm flying all over the country talking to investors. And it's such a great situation. It's just so good. Just don't be scared.
I can only imagine having you in the office asking for money. Very hard for someone to say no.
Listen, they do. Can I tell you? The biggest thing is, and I think it came from being an athlete, and I'm literally, let's be honest, I'm a life coach in real estate because people, it's their biggest investment I'm dealing with. So you have the highs and the lows with your clients. But I will tell you, the biggest thing is people say no, and you got to be able to be like, okay, great, thank you, even though you're just like crying inside, and you go to the next person. So you got to have tough skin, and you got to understand that no, in 2 months when my company's worth $6 million, is going to come back and be a yes. So I just keep believing and thinking the positive, which is, I'm not like unicorns and bunnies. Like there's some negative that happens, but it's how you handle it.
Leigh, you're absolutely correct. And I can't thank you enough for your time, your energy, your insight. Absolutely incredible. I mean, it's a wow. It's a wow. I mean, people are going to listen to it in the car and have to pull over. There's so much energy. So we do appreciate that. And I wish you the best of luck with Zuhaus. So, hey, if I want to check out Zuhaus, our listeners, where do they go?
So they can download Zuhaus on the Apple app and also on Google Play. And www.getzuhaus.com is our website, which tells you all about the app and how it works.
Okay, now we'll throw it up for the video, but for the podcast, spell that again,
Zuhaus.com.
Okay, well, in the future, when you need a house and you're driving around, all you're going to do is get Zuhaus and download the app. And before you know it, a qualified broker will be sitting face to face with you to help you with that transaction. But more importantly from this episode is when you have an idea and you have the passion, you can absolutely make it work. Leverage skilled people like Leigh has and I have, right? Leverage more skilled people, keep the passion, keep the faith, and things will work out. So Leigh, thank you so much for your time today.